Morning chaps, how's it going? I always intended to make another video talking about the absolutely ridiculous furore surrounding Dominic Cummings, and I think it ties in quite neatly with another incident that's been going off lately that I wanted to talk about. This is the BBC News homepage from today. There's a few interesting ones on there. Trump having a go at Twitter's always been always entertaining, because I think all of us, anyone who's ever been a victim of the ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous fucking smear jobs at the social media platforms, based in the most liberal 50 square miles on planet fucking Earth, and yet they try and hold the whole of the globe to their standards that they just invent on a whim. It's a bit fucking ridiculous, really. I'm sure most people listening to this have fell afoul of it. I've been banned off Quora, fucking hell, I think about a dozen times. My latest 2-week quarantines are literally for just posting 2 or 3 quite lengthy, well-received articles that they decided were wrong thing. One of them got shared about 50 times and had about 5,000 likes on it in like an hour. So they collapsed it and then banned me. Said it was not nice or respectful. So, you know, just do it on a whim. It doesn't make any sense, and they don't have to give you any reasons for anything. They don't have to respond to an appeal. They can just do what the fuck they like. So he was always going to be at loggerheads with them. I think that's the immovable object of Silicon Valley versus the unstoppable force of the President of the United States. They've always been on a collision course, and it's going to be fucking great to see what happens, right? Something has to occur when those two things fucking clash. But that's not the story that was most interesting to me. It's this one here. Woman sacked after calling police on black man. You can just tell by the headline it's going to be fucking funny. It says a white woman. Again, have you seen how we've gone backwards now? Everything's all about your race now. The white woman, the black man, like they're obsessed with what you are. Who called the police after a black man asked her to put her dog on a leash, has been fired from her job with an investment firm. Franklin Templeton announced on Twitter that it had sacked an employee effective immediately, because we do not tolerate racism. This is the incident videoed. I'll say before it starts, right, no part of me thinks she's not being a stereotypical entitled Karen and having a fucking nightmare on camera. Let's just check it out and see if it's worthy of BBC homepage headlines, 502,000 likes, and basically blowing up Twitter for the last fucking 18 hours.
I'm asking you to stop.
Please don't come close to me.
Sir, I'm asking you to stop recording me.
Please don't come close to me.
Please take your phone off.
Please don't come close to
And
me.
I'm taking a picture and calling the cops.
Please call the cops. Please call the cops.
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Please tell them whatever you like.
Excuse me? I'm sorry, I'm in the Ramble, and there is a man, African-American, he has a bicycle helmet. He is recording me and threatening me and my dog. There is an African-American man, I am in Central Park. He is recording me and threatening myself and my dog. And my... I'm sorry, I can't hear you either. I'm being threatened by a man in the Ramble. Please send the cops immediately. I'm in Central Park in the Ramble. I don't know.
Thank you.
A dog's fucking retarded, by the way. I don't know, that dog needs a twatting in with a fucking rolled up newspaper a couple of times, the little bastard. Anyway, so what was that? That was, yeah, she's a fucking knobhead. Clearly she's having a fucking bad day. So I could easily explain this without the use of racism, thanks to the fact I'm a good old-fashioned sexist. Maybe she's just having a fucking one of them days. You know, hormones are weird things. Everyone who's ever been out with a woman knows that occasionally they go a bit weird, and you go, what the fuck you doing, you weirdo? And then 12 hours later they go, oh, sorry about that. I was having a bit of a moment. It might have just been that. And this is my point. The point of this video, I'll segue back into Cummings in a minute, but the point is, when the fuck did being a bit of a knobhead become the crime of the fucking century? Like, seriously, what the fuck? Is there any need to completely destroy the woman's fucking life. Like, put her all over all these fucking mainstream media pages. She's everywhere. All over Google. The white woman.
A
CBS.
white woman who wrongfully called the police.
The white woman fired for being a bit of a bitch to a black man. Like, we're not talking about Jeffrey fucking Dahmer. And for those young people who don't keep up on serial killers from the 1990s, Jeffrey Dahmer used to fuck and eat people. And he had a collection of skulls. He made his own skulls for the Skull Throne fucking monument in his bedroom. Absolute fucking mad cunt. Necrophilia, cannibalism, human skull edifice, the fucking lot. This ain't her. This ain't him. Sorry. It's not. It's just a woman being a bit of a knobhead. Like, literally had a go at her and said, put your dog on the leash. And I don't know if people need to have this explained to them, but there's a lot of fucking knobheads out there who don't like being told to obey the rules. A dog should have been on a leash, but it wasn't. And a lot of people, if you try and enforce the rules, because most people aren't jobs with and don't take it upon themselves to do it. I don't. If I'm ever walking through a park and I see someone and dog running about and they haven't got it on a lead and there's a big sign saying put your dog on a lead, I never bother. Because I'm like, fuck it, I don't care. It's got nothing to do with me. But this guy, mega into birds. I actually like birds. My missus says it's like a British stereotype. We're all into bird watching. But so I've got some time for this fella. I'm into birds. And I do mean the winged type. Yeah, not women. They do my fucking head in. I'm kidding, girls. I'm kidding. So I've got some time for Mr. Cooper. And she definitely has been a fucking twat. But a lot of people respond to that when a general member of the public starts having a go at them and trying to enforce the rules. They sort of take it as like a slight, like, who the fuck are you to tell me what to do, sort of thing. So you can understand, like, if she's having a really bad day and she's in a bad mood and she's fucking raged, and this guy says, hey, put your fucking dog on the lead, she just responds like, fuck you, you were talking to me. And then she did the middle-class white woman thing and started going, oh yeah, well, I'll call the cops and they'll take my side because I'm a fucking middle-class white woman. Have that. Yeah, she's a fucking twat. But when did being a bit of a twat become the crime of the fucking century? Like, is there any need for it? And I've mentioned this in dozens of the videos I've made. Like, I'm not a fucking judgmental person. No more than I am when I'm doing my normal news roundup when I'm taking the piss out of people constantly. That's it. Some fucking dickhead like, oh, I don't know, Mega Mohan, for example. My favourite gender and identity correspondent. A fucking dickhead. But it's not the crime of the century being a fucking dickhead. Call her a knobhead and get on with your life. I don't want to see Mega, fuckwit that she is, staked to the floor in a local park and then rinsed by 50 homeless men. I don't want to see that. I want to see her get anything other than occasional mockery. And that's what any of these people deserve. Even Dominic Cummings. It reminds me, actually, because I read a book about this fucking years ago when I was living in York, I think. So You've Been Publicly Shamed. It's a fucking great book by John Ronson. And 5 or 6 years ago he wrote this book now, and it's all about this modern phenomena where people do minor things wrong and we fucking go needlessly, embarrassingly over the top with our response, i.e. the general public. Not me. I'm not that much of a fucking sad cunt. The really famous instance that he picks is Justine Sacco. Justine Sacco, she featured in the New York Times, didn't she? Oh, John Ronson wrote the article. There you go. But basically, short version is, she only had about fucking 50 Twitter followers and she was just taking the piss. And then, she was always doing a bit of gentle mockery to be funny on Twitter. Like she wrote, chili, cucumber sandwiches, bad teeth, back in London. Right? Necky bitch. And then on December 20th, she wrote, going to Africa, hope I don't get AIDS. Just kidding, I'm white. Which, to be fair, that's quite funny. Like, obviously, the joke is nobody is fucking dense enough to think that your race or anything else would render you immune to AIDS. It's also a stereotype that everybody in Africa's got AIDS. I don't think anyone who would read that would think she was being serious and there was any need to take it any further than, not the best joke ever, but clearly intended to be humorous. No one replied, which didn't surprise her because she only had 170 Twitter followers. And then she got off her 11-hour flight, and when she got there, people were saying, phone me immediately. And she basically got annihilated on Twitter. Like, you had like 1 million people saying rape the bitch, kill the cunt. Like, and the irony being when people tweeted things like rape the fucking bitch to death and kill the cunt. I think one of the ones I remember in the book was someone said, we should get this bitch raped and show her that by men with AIDS and show her that she's not immune to AIDS. And then you actually get people liking that. So, like, it's completely immoral to make a bad joke, but if you advocate gang rape by men with AIDS, as long as the person you're directing it to made a bad joke, well, that's fine, you're still a good guy. In fact, you're not just a good guy, you're worthy of immense praise from everyone on Twitter. Anyway, short version is, ruined a fucking life, lost a job, the fucking lot, needed counselling, like, really fucking stupid. So the guy wrote a book about the many, many instances when this has happened, and it's just been a complete piss take of epic proportions. Read that, because the depressing thing is, it's fucking years old now, and we've gone backwards. Like, it was already fucked when he wrote the book, hence his 3 years of research to make the fucking thing, and we've gone backwards since he wrote that. It's only been 5 or 6 years, and we've gone backwards by a factor of 50. She's merely a bit of a dickhead. She doesn't deserve to be fucking sacked, publicly gang raped, or locked in the salt mines for 20 years. They made a song about it, didn't they? Everyone's a little bit racist. Well, if everyone's a little bit racist and we can all have a bad day and act like a bit of a twat, is there any need for people to be beaten to death by a Twitter mob? And that's my point about Cummings, which I've managed to finally get to. I'm not even going to approach this from what I think, which is he didn't do a fucking thing wrong at all, because I didn't agree with the lockdown in the first place. But let's approach this from an ideological left-wing Remainer. Absolute worst reading of it is this. Right, he made a 260-mile trip to County Durham, where his family's from, despite lockdown restrictions, and his wife suffering from coronavirus at the time. He did it legally and responsibly, and to ensure the safety of his 4-year-old son. He said he exercised his judgment the whole time, so he minimised any interactions with the general public, as you would do if you knew you were sick, and he stopped once to get petrol. He also said they spotted him going for a wander around the woods once. Again, you're allowed to wander around the woods, aren't you? And he said he did it because if both he and his wife fell ill, he felt there was nobody in London who they could reasonably ask to look after the kid and expose themselves to COVID. So he said instead of asking family and friends in London, they would decamp to Durham, where his sister and 2 nieces had offered to look after his son if necessary. So you're talking about the health of his fucking wife and kids, and getting his family involved to look after them, which I think almost anyone would do. Get your family involved, isn't it? Not the end of the world. He didn't go to a fucking gay disco. You're talking about frivolous stuff. It's just, it involves the health of your family and closest people in your life. So who fucking cares, really? Like, would you care? Would Keir Starmer think, no, I have to stick by some nebulous shit rules, even when I'm talking about my nearest and dearest? I don't think he fucking would. I don't think anyone listening to this would. Worst case scenario, he took the piss a little bit. Let's just say that, okay? Maybe he did. He didn't he didn't break the lockdown to just get naked and go to an orgy. He broke the lockdown to look after his family. So who's going to chastise a man for that? Brendan O'Neill wrote a great piece in Spiked. He said he brought the lockdown good. Welcome to the sensible minority. Right, according to a survey published a week ago, 29% of people said they've busted out with a lockdown straitjacket and done things they shouldn't have done. Yes, they fucking have. Couple of my mates meet once a week to drink cans in the fucking local park, and he said they always hide in the bushes if the coppers or the fucking park wardens come by. Not the end of the world, because you're allowed to use common sense. Neither of them are going to hang out with any old people. They're both young and healthy, and they are making an informed decision. They're allowed to do it. No one fucking cares. If you want to go and enjoy some bush cans with your fucking mates, you're allowed to do that. Guidelines were exactly that. Guidelines. I think that's the one point I want to make. If you decide to be rooted firmly in your fucking house and never leave it because you're an absolute fucking fanny, then that's on you. Nobody was told they had to be firmly rooted in their houses, which is why Cummings didn't break any rules. And I'm sure most of us Everyone, in fact, listening has at some point left their house for a reason that wasn't absolutely 100% essential. Like going for a walk around the park. These things aren't essential, but you do them because you exercise some common sense. You're not getting naked and sprinting through an old people's home, fucking sneezing on people. There's a massive difference between sensible, measured things like going for a drive in a car by yourself. Who cares about the fucking distance? Marching into Tesco and rubbing your fucking bell end on all the cans and then putting them back on the shelf for unsuspecting fucking consumers to come in and take cans home with your bell end juice all over them. It's fucking ridiculous. He didn't do that. He just went home to see his family because him and his missus and the kid were ill. The guidelines were guidelines. That's it. He didn't break any laws. There was guidelines that called for common sense, and he used some fucking common sense. The fact that the great British public has turned into a bunch of fucking wet blankets, or most of them neglected to actually read the fucking guidelines anyway, doesn't mean that a man driving a couple of times over a period of about fucking 9 weeks is the biggest cunt on planet Earth, does it? People need to get a fucking grip. This shit is, honestly, it is embarrassing. See people grassing on the neighbours and acting like fucking the Stasi. Get a fucking life and a grip, you boring cunts. And again, just to tie it all up before I fuck off. Same goes for this woman. Being a bit of a racist doesn't mean you're a fucking baby raper. It just doesn't. It's not the end of the world. Everyone needs to fucking relax. I don't care whether you're talking about being a bit of a cunt to a black guy, shagging your fucking married lover because you're a bit of a sex pest and fucking frankly you look like Harry Potter if he was a fucking 60-year-old smackhead. Not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. Self-trimming, sneaky, devious shitbag. But he didn't kill anyone, did he? This is merely an arsehole gallery. So let's get on with our fucking life, shall we? And stop treating fucking mere arseholes like Pol Pot.